In today's video, we're going over the fastest ways to level up your armoring skill from 1 to 200 as quickly as possible, because as you guys likely know if you've crafted anything before, resources and time put in are not equal to experience given. There's two ways to level your armoring, via the outfitting station or the forge, which is on the other side of Everfall. The main recipes, I've got 5 different ones for you guys. The main ones are in the outfitting station though. The first one, and honestly my primary go-to, is the linen hand wraps or gloves. They're identical in resources, just different cosmetics. They give you 108 armoring for 4 linen, 4 coarse leather, and 1 iron ingot. The 1 iron ingot is the main bonus here because iron is difficult to get and you need it for so many different things, so it is light on the iron for this recipe. Coarse leather is pretty easy to get in bulk, and linen is the main throttle for me. Usually I can get it in huge bulk as long as no one is in the same area, but it is generally easy to get in bulk if there's not a whole bunch of people there. The boots are also a good option. Linen shoes are the same materials, minus 1 coarse leather, positive 1 linen. So if you can find more linen, you can go for that option if you're getting stuck on getting more leather. That's just a slightly different variant in the recipe for the same amount of armoring. Now, in my video I made a few days ago talking about leveling engineering skills, I use spears at different levels while still using the cheaper materials, which is a really good way to level. Unfortunately, it doesn't work like that for armoring, which is unfortunate. When you make satin gloves or silk gloves, it still requires the actual material to make them. For example, satin is like 4 times the amount of linen. You still use coarse leather, and make sure you choose the cheaper material. For some reason, it tries to automatically choose the more expensive void metal, which definitely don't craft that. But if you use satin, it's like 4 times linen, and it's like less than 2.5 times the experience. Same situation with the silk. I think it's 16 times the amount of linen, plus it requires like silk threads, and it is not worth the like 6 times armoring XP, if even that. So definitely don't go up the tiers unless you're trying to actually make that armor. But if you're just going for pure efficiency of leveling, it's not worth going up the tiers of gloves or any clothing. It just doesn't work out the same at all. Now, my next recipe I have for you guys is actually a usable material, where with the actual gloves, you're just going to make hundreds of gloves. You're going to salvage them all for the materials they give back to you just to get the armoring XP. This you can actually use. It's not the most efficient one, but I thought I'd throw it in here because it's actually a usable material. The oak flesh bomb essentially gives you physical damage absorption by 10%, 20%, 35%, I think is the total one, for 20 seconds, or until you get hit 6 times. That is actually a usable thing that you could use, your friends can use, and you could also sell it if you guys would like. It requires earth motes, water motes, and oil. It only gives you a little bit of armoring, but if you go and collect those things in high quantities, these aren't, high sought after materials. It's not like iron where everybody's going for that. These are a little bit more easy to get, and they're definitely more common in all the areas. You can actually go farm these if you guys would like and get yourselves a bit of armoring by this. This is only 36 for the base one, then it goes up to 90, then it goes to 225, and then it goes to 465 armoring. So it's not the most efficient one, but it is a usable material. Just thought I'd chuck it in here for you guys. Actually, I have one more recipe to show you guys before we leave the outfitting station. If you're just going armoring and like that's all you care about, just getting high level armoring, this isn't going to be the most efficient. But if you guys like to make gold in your world, this is also a good recipe. The coarse, rugged, laid, and infused leather bags sell for a decent amount on pretty much every area that I've been to. It depends like what level you're up to, what other people on your server are up to, and like whether it's a high pop, low pop situation. But regardless, they give you a huge amount of armoring. It's not the craziest amount of materials, which is pretty decent. The leather has to stay the same, but as like this is trying to scare you off, you don't have to use satin. You can just use linen. You don't have to use void metal. You can just use iron. It's just a leather that is the base. It has to stay the same. Like you can't use coarse. It's a rugged leather bag. It has to be that. This is going to be your main throttle though. It will require you to do some faction missions to buy these. But once you do, they sell for multiple thousands at a time. If you can get them to sell, it's really nice gold. Plus you get a decent amount of armoring per shot. Like 6k for the laid leather bag is very, very nice. Now at the forge for the final 2 recipes, we have the armor boxes. These things were insane early game. I'm level 49 now. I'm 108 in armoring. It's not really worth it at the late game. For example, this one is like 10 steel, 10 rugged, and 20 satin for 3,000 armoring. Now that's a decent amount of armoring, but it's not really worth the time put in. But early game, say like 30 and under, maybe even 40 and under, look at your town boards in every area and pick up the armor, the iron armor boxes. They're really, really good. Give you a bunch of XP in the regular amount of XP, as well as armoring, and doesn't really use that many materials. For example, I can compare my weaponsmithing one for you guys because I haven't leveled that one up yet. It's only 15 iron ore, not ingots, just the ore, 3 wood, 12 rawhide for 300 weaponsmithing, And as we're leveling up, we have 50 iron ore, 15 green wood, and 25 rawhide for 1,000 weaponsmithing. That was the kind of deals I was getting on my iron armors. It was really, really good. It's not really worth it once you get steel, but early game, that is another great option. Further down, we have the iron plate gauntlets. These are essentially the equivalent of the gloves in the outfitting station, but they're actually armor. So it uses 4 iron ingots, 4 coarse leather, and 1 linen, and still gets you 108 armoring. So if you don't want to or can't find a bunch of linen on your server, but you have no problem with the iron, this is the equivalent for that. It's the same amount of armoring XP. It's just switching the linen and the iron. Same situation with the iron plate boots. It gets you 1 extra iron ingot required, but 1 less coarse leather. So if you don't want to find a bunch of leather, you don't want to find a bunch of linen, but you got iron for days, make the boots that give you 108 armoring as well. Those are the best recipes though. I hope you guys found the video helpful. If you did, don't forget to smash subscribe on the way out. Check us out on Twitch. It's linked in the description down below. Hope you guys have a fantastic day. Catch you guys in the next one. Adios.